it going, everybody? This is Maximo McGee here at the San Diego Comic-Con. We're checking out Capcom's booth where I'm talking with Capcom Special Advisor Seth Killian. Seth, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to see you.
So we're checking out Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. A lot of fans at home excited about this. What are you guys officially showing off here today?
Well, let's say this. Who do we have playable here today? How about that? Well, of course, we've got the entire returning cast, but we've also got 4 new characters playable here today. On the Marvel side, we've got Hawkeye, Ghost Rider, one of my personal favorites, Firebrand from the Ghost and Goblin series, sort of one of the guys who plagued Arthur on his quest, probably the most annoying enemy in the whole game, and he's quite annoying here as well. And then, of course, Strider Hiryu, one of the most popular characters, one of our biggest fan requests. He's back as well. Very much in tune with his Marvel vs. Capcom 2 incarnation.
All right, very nice. So, obviously, in addition to the characters that you're showing off here today, there's also been a few leaked images of some other characters. Can you comment at all about that?
To quote Seinfeld, that maybe people don't remember, they are real and they are gorgeous. We're not prepared to talk at length about those guys right now, but they're out there and pretty proud of the characters, so hoping we can let people get hands-on with those in the coming time. But right now, this is what we got to show you, and we'll go from there.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. So what we can talk about is changes to X Factors. I understand it's going to be tweaked. It's going to be just a little bit different in this incarnation. What can you tell us about that?
So overall, the damage on X Factor is going down a little bit, and it's also been sort of normalized across the board for all characters, so it's not going to be that somebody's getting a particularly large boost versus other characters. But the big thing is that you can now activate X Factor in the air. That's kind of nerdy for people that don't follow Marvel vs. Capcom 3 closely or didn't play the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3. But it really makes a big difference. It not only lets your air combos become really a lot crazier, it also allows you defensively to escape some situations that came up in the original one that were really nasty. Now you can X Factor your way out of those if you need to.
I also noticed in the release trailer you guys were showing off certain characters such as Ryu and his Super Hadouken. I saw it bouncing off the wall. Spencer seemed to have a new dive attack. Are all the previous roster members going to be getting little tweaks and changes in this release?
So short answer is nobody is immune from the world of changes. So in this build, there are many characters that do have those kinds of changes. We're letting people figure those out on their own right now. Some characters, as you saw, will have brand new moves, even new super moves and things like that. Other characters will get more subtle tweaks. And that's the way it is right now. Again, the game's still in development, so it may change over time. Things may shift. But we're probably not going to take new moves away that we made, especially the moves you've seen already. I don't think are going to go anywhere. But all the details may be changing a little bit. But right now, everybody's going to be a little subtly different on up to larger changes like you saw with Ryu and the Bionic Commando here today.
Now, what can you tell us about any tweaks you guys have planned for single player? Any new additions for the training mode? Anything you're expanding on with the campaign? Anything like that?
Well, we'll see where we get to in terms of development, but you got to let us hold back a little something. It's been a big day in terms of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 news already. So we'll see where we're going with that in a few months.
All right, now back with the characters, on the topic of character selection, I remember back when Capcom Unity had a poll for to let fans decide which characters they'd like to see possibly in a Versus game. And I noticed some of the top Marvel contenders weren't really represented in what we've seen for this edition. Can you comment at all about that?
Well, sure. I mean, there's a few points. One, although we looked at that poll very closely and it had a lot of votes and activity, so we respected the results, but that wasn't actually an official Capcom poll. It was on Capcom Unity, but just put up there by a fan. That doesn't mean it doesn't count, but in the past what we've done before is to have a poll where we say, hey, if you guys tell us which character you want from this list, we'll actually put them in the game. We did that with Street Fighter 4, and we got an actual response, and we followed through with it, and that character was Cammy. We did that. She's been with us ever since. This was a more informal fan poll. On the Capcom side, we looked at that very closely and tried to respect a lot of those wishes. But Marvel is its own company, and they have ultimately control over the Marvel characters. So it's something we talked over with them. But they have reasons to be in love with certain characters at certain times. They're blowing up in the comics or the movies or whatever it might be. And at the end of the day, even if it's not the character that you were particularly hoping for, we hope people will give the character a chance and actually play them, because that's where the fun is. And the characters that I ended up playing most in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and having the most fun with weren't the characters that I was excited about necessarily as characters, but they just turned out to be a lot of fun. And so I think people may have that same experience.
So there might be a few characters in there that'll surprise you.
After today, maybe not. But yeah, I think as far as play style and getting fun stuff to do, there's a lot of surprises in store, even for the characters on the Marvel side that people are less familiar with. Are like, what's this guy gonna do? Just wait. They do some amazing stuff.
Now, is there any sort of a bonus or an extra incentive for people who own the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3 going into Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
Good question. We'll see where we end up there. It's something on our minds right now, but again, we're still quite a ways away from the release of this game, so we'll have to get there.
And on the topic of release, Seth, is there anything you can tell us about when this game might be coming out?
Pretty soon. Not super soon. I don't actually know what the release date might be yet, but we're going to try and get into people's hands as soon as we possibly can.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. So there you have it, folks. A look at Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. As always, stay tuned for more information.
Hi, Destructoid. This is Jesse Cortez here from the EVO tournament here in Las Vegas. I have a special guest here, Nitsuma-san, producer of the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 series, and also Neo-G, who's a battle designer for Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So guys, thank you very much for being here with me. First, I have couple questions for Nitsuma-san. The Marvel series is very known for all the great characters that they have. And here at EVO, you're having gameplay of 4 new characters. Could you please tell me of these characters, which one do you think was the most challenging to design the moveset for?
There is one particular character inside the group of the new ones for the new title that was particularly difficult to design. Unfortunately, it's one of them that hasn't been officially announced. So I can't go into too much detail. I can tell you this character resembles a pre-existing character.
From being here at EVO, you've seen a lot of people play the characters like Firebrand, and other characters here that we have, such as Hawkeye. Has people been playing the characters here the way you've envisioned them to play from the first time?
Yeah, so for the time being, from what we've seen here at EVO, people are playing pretty much in line with the way we thought they would. That comes with a caveat, of course, they've had only a very short period of time to play. Once the game's out there, these guys have had some time to really dig into it. I'm sure they're going to discover all sorts of new and unique ways to use these characters we hadn't envisioned.
And then my last question about characters, the community would really love to see Mega Man in this game, and unfortunately he's not on the list right now. But I just had a question for you. If you were to put Mega Man into this world, the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 world, which sort of Mega Man do you think would fit best?
そうですね。メガマンはやっぱり
It's an interesting question. You got to take all sorts of things into consideration, gameplay balance, that sort of thing, and of course, what the fans want. So if we were to pick from the existing Mega Man pantheon of different versions of the character, if, of course, this were something we would do, I think we'd probably go with X because he seems to be very, very popular among the users, and that we think that's what they would probably want. So if we were to go that direction, more than likely X.
なるんであればやっぱりユーザーからの声が一番大きいのはメガマン X とかやっぱりクラシックメガマンとかその辺じゃないんですかね。
Now, our next couple of questions are more geared towards the gameplay of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I think hopefully Neo-G can help you with these questions. I know X Factor, you spoke on the panel how you developed it as a way for players to come back. But that has offered, some people don't really like the fact it's really kind of overpowered. So they stopped playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Do you know, what can you tell the people who were dissuaded by the first game that how you fix things in Ultimate to come back and try it in this version?
Yeah, I think those users might be pleasantly surprised because, in the previous version of X Factor, not only did it increase your attack power, it increased your speed a great deal as well. This time we're re-examining, the exact balance there, the exact levels of, increase. So I think we'll see some changes here that might leave those people more satisfied, perhaps, than they were before.
Now, you at the panel today also, you mentioned a whole list of changes, of each character had a new change. Out of all those changes, which do you think is going to be the one that's going to be most excited for the fans to use and just, really get under?
Yeah, it's actually a hard question. It's hard to really narrow that down because, like you said, every character's got something new going on. The game will change in big ways as a result of that. I think the character that's changed the most and therefore might be the most exciting for players is Ryu. A whole new features for him. Really plays in a very different style, so hopefully people will enjoy checking him out when the game comes out.
Yeah, so we're here at EVO. There's a world tournament. People are coming from all over the world to compete, and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is one of the chosen games to play in. How does that make you feel that there's so many people who really enjoy playing this game and being really good at that? And what can you say about the caliber of players that are here at the tournament today?
やっぱり、まず最初のところに。
So to answer the first part of the question, it feels great to be here to see all these really good players enjoying the game, loving the game. It's something we put our hearts and souls into, so it's great to see all the love come back to us.
嬉しいことだと思ってます。もう一つに関してやっぱり
Yeah, so coming here and seeing just how good these players are. I mean, they truly are the best cream of the crop. The world's best players. It's really an educational experience watching these guys play because there are things they're doing, things they're pulling off that we had never envisioned. We hadn't thought that people could even perform this well. So it's really, really impressive to watch them kind of continue the development process in a manner of speaking. And I think Neo G might have something to add as well.
感覚が違うのかもしれないんですけど。
僕の場合、同じなんだ。そういう部分で同じ。
It's a lot of complicated emotions. Certainly, my sentiments echo what Nitsuma-san said. These are some awesome players doing really cool stuff. So in that sense, it's impressive in that sense. But also, I'm here to do my job too. So I see them doing things I hadn't envisioned, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I'd have thought of that. But at the same time, in equal parts, I see people playing exactly how we had designed the game. And that's pretty gratifying as well. So it's all sorts of stuff going on in my head right now.
My final question is kind of a more personal one. When MVC3 was first announced, there was one character in the Capcom roster I thought would have been a great addition to this kind of world, and that's Zack and Wiki. Did you think you could have fit in some way to the world? Like, could you have made him work? Like, if I asked you really carefully, please put him in?
そうですね。いや、かなり。
Yeah, I think that would actually be really difficult. Being that Zack and Wiki come from a non-action-oriented game, it might be really hard to figure out what kind of moves they would do. They don't really come from that world, so to speak. That said, if I was ordered to do so, I'm sure we'd find some way to do it. That's our job, after all. But it would certainly be no easy task, I can tell you that.
考えるとは思いますけど。
Maybe that's why you guys didn't put him in after all, Well, I want to thank you guys very much for being here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of EVO. And I want to thank you guys for watching this interview, and stay tuned for more coverage from EVO that we're bringing you live from Vegas. All right, thank you.
Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
You need it.
Hey Seth, how's it going, man? Angry Joe. As I was telling you earlier, we probably got the biggest critic.
I can't believe this. It's not okay. Stop it.
Of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and the biggest fan, James. James behind the camera. So I wanted to ask you a few community questions about the game. So why did Capcom choose to release another version of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 barely 5 months after the original's release?
Well, it's not 5 months after by the time it comes out, but the announcement came very fast. So basically, the team wasn't that happy about it either because they wanted a little bit more break between games. So, but the real answer is sort of a complicated and not that exciting answer, but it has to do with basically both Capcom's own release schedule and Marvel's own release schedule. So we've got other Capcom fighting games coming out that are already scheduled and locked. Marvel also has a lot of licenses and other games, movies, things like that they're dealing with in terms of licenses and what possible window the game could come out in. So for us, it was either now or wait a long, long time.
So it didn't have to do anything with the tsunami that happened in Japan, which was a tragedy. That didn't affect scheduling in any way?
That affected a lot of things over in Japan. So a lot of people individually, Capcom was not hit in a direct way. Like we had some cracks in the office building. They had power outages, so we had to send people home for a little while, in and out like that. But overall, there were a lot of larger concerns as well as individual things going on as far as Capcom missing a few weeks of work and things like that. But overall, I think corporate planning, when you got Capcom and you got Marvel together, it was either do it now or potentially wait a long, long time. And
a little longer, you can add a few more things. Is this the new life cycle of fighter games that we can expect from Capcom?
Again, this was sort of a one-off. So if we had our druthers, we might have waited a little longer just because we like to let things breathe a little bit. It's like a fine wine or whatever. But you want to let people get all the way into it. But that's part of the actual approach to Ultimate Marvel in terms of the balancing and the re-looking at it, is to try and respect what people have done with the game so far. The investment they've put in, we think is going to build in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So it's not like a reset or like everything you did doesn't make sense anymore. It's no good. So we think it's going to really be sort of an evolution on top of what they've already learned.
So can original Marvel vs. Capcom 3 players play with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
we're not that good at the internet, unfortunately. So no. Yeah.
So do you feel that the release is going to split the community?
I actually don't think so. So I understand where people are coming from with the game is out too soon, but at the same time, there's sort of a tension in that position, right? Because it's like, I love this game, Marvel 3, so much. I want more time to play it without another version coming out, but honestly, like, the stuff in Ultimate Marvel is more of the same great stuff that you liked in Marvel 3. So in one sense, I understand people wanting to wait a little longer. In another sense, you're getting more of something that you liked before if you were a big fan. And if you didn't play Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you're getting a really great deal because you get the whole package with more new characters and all that stuff for $40.
Why did you decide to go to a retail disc? So now, original owners of the original game don't get the rebalancing. You're not going to support the original with, any rebalancing tweaks. It's all on the new version?
Yeah, that's true. So the whole disc-based thing is something that Capcom's sort of getting the hang of. That's always been the way they've done it in Japan, so we are a Japanese company. This is a very established model over there. So you'll see us taking different approaches on different games. So some of our games get a little more DLC, a little bit more online in the balancing.
That's why I'm upset because, Super Street Fighter 4, they already had spectator mode. They add tournament mode. They add a bunch of additional modes. So far, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 only has spectator mode, a mode that we were promised as DLC for free. Is that the only additional mode that is going to be included in Ultimate?
We do have some other modes that we're not talking about just yet, but there will be a little more stuff coming on the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom.
I'm very glad to hear that. A lot of people said, well, Joe, don't overreact. Maybe there's some other modes that you haven't heard of, because I've been essentially calling it basically a character expansion. If you look at it as a character expansion, it's a little bit easier to accept, because if you look at how many characters you release, it's a relatively good deal.
Yeah, actually, I think, I don't want to oversell the modes and things like that, because fighting games at the end of the day are a versus game. So it is really, I think, a character expansion. It's got a lot of other fun stuff and things people have been asking for, but yeah, the characters are really the reason for the season.
Exactly, but my problem with this release is how it leaves the original people in the dust, and I just don't think that's really the way to handle it. I think it's going to piss off a lot more people than it.
Yeah, well, we definitely know the reaction. So again, the Street Fighter team has taken one approach, Marvel team has taken another approach. We're hearing the feedback. We know people are not happy with the approach in total, but we know people are also excited about the content. So hopefully that's where the conversation will stay. Once people get their hands on, hopefully your guy over here got a chance to go hands on and is having actually a good time with the game.
He is having a good time with it, but I just wanted you to know that there are a segment of us that's really upset with this decision, and that, hopefully, based upon your interview, and you said there are more modes coming yet unannounced, will help us to make a better buying decision. Yeah. So thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
It's my pleasure, and we know, I live on the internet too, I know the reactions, I know where people are coming from, but at the end of the day...
I was really pissed off, dude. If you go on my video right now, it's like this huge angry rant on
That's your...
my immediate, honest reaction.
That's your job. It's easier for me because I'm playing the game and I know the actual characters in the game is really fun, so...
I just expect a little bit more from my expansions. If the Super Street Fighter crowd 4 got this and that, I kind of want at least bare minimum that.
The different teams, they fight all the time, they go competition like that, so maybe this round of the Super Street Fighter team, but gameplay-wise, I think Ultimate Marvel is going to really deliver.
All right, you heard it here. My man Seth taking the opportunity to talk real talk with us. All right, man. I'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show.
All right, Capcom Unity. I have two very special guests with me. Actually, there's a bunch of people in here, but you can't see everybody or me. But special thanks to Nitsuma-san for coming in to talk about Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then Mao for translating. So, Nitsuma-san, we have two new characters. You want to tell us who the new characters are and a little bit about them?
はい、今回ゲームズコンで発表した新キャラクターは、カプコン側が、バイオハザードシリーズ、レジェンドイーブルシリーズからネメシス で、マーブルの方が、ドクター・ストレンジ、この2キャラが新キャラ発表になります。マーベルのドクター・ストレンジ。
Okay, so we've got two characters here today that we've announced. One is from Resident Evil series, Nemesis, and the other is from Marvel, Doctor Strange.
今回は見た感じ、完全にパワーキャラとフィジカルキャラクターって感じ。
So one is obviously a power type character, and the other one is a technical type. So a bit of variation there.
That sounds good. So we've had a lot of people curious about them. Are players using them too? No, not yet. Okay. Anyway, we'll try to force them to play Doctor Strange. And,
oh, there's Doctor Strange there.
No, I meant you guys. Oh, these guys are okay. I see Doctor Strange. And Nemesis here.
I mean, Doctor Strange actually is quite an expert-orientated character, so it's quite difficult to use. But obviously, once you get the hang of it, it's going to be pretty damn good.
ネメシスは本当に見た目通りのパワーキャラクターにしてくる。
So, anyone in the live chat too, if you guys have questions, just feel free to ask. We are here to answer. I'm trying to look at the chat. It's a little bit awkward. Sorry, it's going really fast.
Turn down the volume, they say.
Turn that down. They're talking a little bit about Ghost Rider and the play style we're seeing.
Ghost Rider. Style. プレイスタイル。プレイスタイル。
ゴーストライダーも完全にこの原作であるこのチェーンを使ってどういう戦うかっていうのがもうメイン。
About Ghost Rider, he's basically all about the chain, you know. Whatever he does with his chain, that's Ghost Rider. So everything he does is to do with chain, and that's his characteristic.
So I'm sure most people in the stream or watching know what Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is. But can you give us a rundown of what they can expect? I mean, we just revealed 2 new characters, but how many new characters in total? And what exactly can we expect from the game? As just an overall rundown.
3から12体に出されることがありますので、ダウンロードキャラクターを足すと全部で50体。ダウンロードキャラクターを4で48なんですけど、基本的にはそれをダウンロードキャラクターを入れると全部で50。
Okay, so in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 we had 38 characters, and now with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 we're going to have 50 in total.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration for adding in Nemesis and Doctor Strange? I mean, Nemesis in particular seems like a little bit of an odd one, but he's a really cool character to play.
場所的に合わない気がするんですけど、
むしろなんかこういうゲームにはすごい合ってるんじゃないかなと思います。あとはカプコンキャラクターの方にもデカキャラクターがマーベルの方にチェンジしてるんですけど、でかいキャラクター向こう側にもなんかこうインパクトがあってデカキャラでっていうのがあったのかなと思ったらでカプコンヨーロッパの方にちょっとそういうので相談したらばなんかあれしたらいやネメシスいいんじゃないみたいな話で今回ネメシス入れた。前もちょっとねネメシス入れるのかなってあったんですけど。
I mean, Nemesis actually fits really well, and like in Marvel's side, we've got Sentinel, who's like a big, powerful character. So we kind of wanted someone from Capcom side who is just as big and powerful. So we consulted with Capcom Europe and Capcom US guys, and then we've decided that Nemesis is going to be the best fit. So he'll do pretty well in the roster, I think.
Someone asked how you're able to get him in the game without changing the rating.
レーティングを 変わるからネメシス狙えないって言ってたんですけど、
あ、そうそう、
今回どうやったんですか？
今回は結構やっぱりかなりこう気を使ってこういろいろ聞きながら、これ以上やったらダメですかとか、ここまでやったらどうですかとか、かなりこう細かくこう確認しながら作って、うまい具合にこう落とし込んだ感じになります。これ以上リアルにしちゃうとやっぱりレーティング上がっちゃうし、ただあんまりやらないと特殊とかでっぽくないので、そこはすごいこうすごい確認をこうきっちり何回もしながらこう慎重に作ったらうまくいったと思います。
That's a good, pretty good point to spot out about the rating. So we did say for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 we couldn't put Nemesis because of the rating difficulties. So this time we basically went by little small steps. So we pushed the rating board a little bit, saying can we do this? And then if they allow it, we'll push a bit further, saying can we then do that? So I mean, we couldn't do anything extreme, but we managed to retain the Nemesis features, all the tentacles and everything, and managed to keep him as he should be. So this time we've managed to retain the rating and have Nemesis in. So it's a win-win situation.
It's great. Someone brought up another good question. What was the inspiration behind the moveset for Doctor Strange? I mean, we haven't really seen him anywhere. I mean, in games.
ドクターストレンジの動きのセットが全然見たことないんですけど、あれはどういう
セット？
動きの種類タイプ。
そういう意味では実は今回の新キャラクター、全部で12体、まだ他に発表されるキャラクターも含めてですけど、ドクターストレンジが一番マーベルチェックが厳しかったので、マーベルからの要望がすごいうまかったので、それを全部対応していったら、やっぱりちょっと一つだけかなり特殊というか、細かい動きが増えちゃったので、このキャラクターで非常に実は今回一番時間かかったんじゃないかなと。
So obviously we announced that there will be 12 new characters for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Doctor Strange is one of the prominent Marvel characters. And in fact, Doctor Strange had the heaviest check from Marvel, so they were the most strict on Doctor Strange and his movesets. So that could be why it's got the Marvel taste in a very high concentration. So we've spent most of our time on him actually so far.
Here's another question.
Alright.
They want to know if Nemesis says stars when Chris comes out.
Nemesis what?
Says stars.
Nemesis がプレイしてる。Nemesis プレイしてる時にクリスが出てきたらスターズって言うんですか？
内緒です。
That's a secret. You better find out for yourself.
Let's see. Looking for a question that I can ask and not get in trouble for. So someone is asking about custom dialogue. So is there going to be any new custom dialogue in the game between the characters?
キャラ間の会話に関して追加とかはあるんですか？
新キャラクター同士の追加っていうのはないですけど、新キャラクター同士の絡みとかに関してはちょっといじって。
I mean, there won't be any changes to existing characters and the existing characters' conversations, but obviously all the new characters coming in, they add to the mix, so it should make it quite cool, actually.
Let's see. I'm looking at the screen at a very strange angle, so let's see. Someone says, does Arthur finally have a dash? He needs it.
アーサーにダッシュ機能をつけてください。
でもそうするとアーサーじゃなくなっちゃうからな。あれはあれであのキャラクターの面白さとしてダッシュ機能あんまつけたくないかな。
Well, I think Arthur not having dash is probably one of the fundamental characteristics of him. So if he gets a dash, then he's not really Arthur anymore.
It's true. He's got that iconic run and everything. It's kind of pokey. Someone was wondering about the new HUD style. They were asking if it's the final design.
これUI はこれがもうファイナルデザインですか？
ここもファイナルデザインに近いですね。ゲージも実はもうちょっとやっぱりユーザーさんからゲージちょっと見づらいっていうのがあったのが若干色味とかちょっと変えてるんで、すごい見やすくはなってると思うんです。 基本的なデザインはこれでフィット。
It's pretty much fixed, but we've heard some comments about, colors are being a bit unclear in some cases, so we might adjust the color a bit for the gauges, but fundamentally it's pretty much done.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, another question. I don't know if you'll be able to talk about this or answer it. There's a question about Jill and Shuma. What changes have been made to them, if any, or if you can talk about them?
ジルとシュマゴラスに関して変更を加えましたか？
バランス調整と。
はい。
もちろん他のキャラクターと同じように調整はいろいろ変えてます。
Yeah, we're going to tune them so, we're going to actually rebalance all the characters actually, all the existing characters from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So, likewise, Shumagoroth and Jill will go through a bit of balancing and tuning.
Someone had mentioned, we know about spectator mode, but are there any other modes that maybe are new to UMVC3?
前回スペクターモードってありましたけど、今回なんかそういう新しいモードはあるんですか？
今回新しくスペクターモード入れた。
あ、そうなんですか。で、他になんかモードあるんですか？
ちょっといろいろなんか別で遊べるようなモードは別途考えてます。
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be so boring and say Spectre mode is the only one we're adding. There are going to be other features and modes, which we're not quite going to reveal just here yet.
Someone says that the damage seems to be higher in this game.
このゲーム昔ダメージ値もっと高かったと思うんですけど、どんどんなんかダメージ値が減っていくんですけど、なんでですか？
いや、そんなことはないっすよ。
ないですか？
昔ってどれと比べてんの
？I wonder what they're comparing to because the damages haven't really changed.
Oh, really?
No.
I think they haven't had a chance to play it. They're just seeing and looking. Maybe our players are too good. Let's see. Someone said, will there still be DLC in the future?
でこの UMVC が出た後にまた PDLC は出るんですか？
今のところはまだ、調整中です。結局 MVC3 がある程度成功したことによって UMVC3 が作れるようになったんで、次の展開としてはやっぱ UMVC3 がある程度成功しないと次の展開がないので。
Well, you know Capcom, we're only going one step. So Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was a massive success. Therefore, we have Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So, obviously the next step depends on how Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 does. So it's kind of all up to you guys, really.
So speaking of that, one of the most popular pieces of merch that we had was the strategy guide. That was number 1 on Amazon for a while, at least in the US. Someone was asking if there's going to be a guide like that again released.
ちょっと前にマブカップ3の攻略本が Amazon で1位になったぐらい人気があったんですけど、今回も攻略本みたいなの考えてます。
攻略本はなんか一応作る予定ではいます。
Yeah, I mean we're definitely going to work on another walkthrough because a lot of things have changed, and after the balancing and tunings, I presume some of the characters will actually dramatically change in the way they play. So we've got to release another edition for sure.
I know I'll need one. Someone was talking a little bit about owning the regular, or the original version of Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Are they going to get anything special when they pick up Ultimate? Are people going to get anything special in Ultimate Marvel if they own the previous Marvel?
マブカップさん持ってる人たちに何かあるんですか、ご褒美は？
一部ちょっとマブカブ3の、データがあれば初めから遊べるモードっていうのはちょっと入ってます。
We're thinking of.
そんな大きいやつじゃないけど。
I mean, we can't do anything major because it's obviously a different game. But just to say thank you for having and giving us support. If you've got a save data from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, then when you play Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, there'll be one special mode that's already unlocked for you to play.
Someone wants to know if the end boss is different now in story mode.
No, the last boss is the same character.
Still Galactus?
Galactus. Yeah, still Galactus.
Okay, let's see. Someone says, are you planning on releasing any new character themes soon?
キャラクターのテーマをリリースする予定あります。
テーマ、曲
Songs or yeah.
今のところはないです。
No, not at the moment. No.
Oh. I see a bunch of questions I can't talk about, so.
UMBC に関して一番新妻さん個人的に嬉しい楽しみにしていること。
楽しみにしているところ。
一番ワクワクするポイントですね。
そうですね。やっぱ前作遊んでくれた人とかも含めてなんですけど、やっぱ前作との部分で足りなかったその観戦モードとかそういう部分が入ったりとか、あとやっぱりキャラクターがさらに増えたんで、またみんなでこうワイワイガヤガヤ遊べてもらうんじゃないかなとは思ってますけど、あともう一個はそのさっき言ったその別のちょっとモードを今今後発表していくと思うんで、それが結構ねいい出来なんで、ぜひ楽しみにしてほしいなと。
So I mean, one thing is that I'm managing to address all the things that we felt we missed out in the first Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which includes spectator mode, and then obviously having more characters is always good, especially in a game like this. So we've got 50 now, that's amazing. Also, this new mode I've been mentioning, which I can't quite reveal yet, but this is actually looking really good. So this is what I'm actually most excited about. And it's a bit of a shame that I can't say what it is, but you kind of have to gauge what it might be from the excitement I have, because that is basically the thing I am most interested and excited about.
Well, the question that came up in the chat was, is mission mode coming back?
ミッションモードは帰ってくるんですか？
ミッションモード3の時にあって
Did it in 3, didn't we?
Yeah, they're asking if it's returning.
ちゃんとそれ戻るんですか？
普通に3の時にあったミッションモードはありますね。
Yeah, there will be mission mode as well in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
So it's basically everything. I mean, there's nothing lacking, nothing missing in Ultimate.
結局マブカップ3からは何も引かれずにもうプラスしかないと。
基本的にはマブカップ3から引いたものっていうのはないです。
Yeah, I mean, basically, fundamentally speaking, we're not subtracting anything. All we're doing is adding and multiplying. So all the modes and everything you've seen in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is already there as a basic.
So, someone wants to know if there's going to be a special edition for this.
この後に限定版とかそういうのは考えてるんですか？あと同時もいいですけど。
そうですね。今のところまだちょっと考えてないんで、なんかやれたらいいかなとは思ってるんですけど、今のところ予定ない。
If we could do something, that would be exciting, but we haven't got a solid plan yet.
They want to know what's your favorite character.
新妻さんの今回の一番好きなキャラ誰ですか？
結構ね、今のところでキャラクター出てるんです。今回言った新キャラクターがね、やっぱ非常にいい出来だと思うんで、僕結構新キャラ、今回今後の発表も含めて12体作りましたけど、割りかし全部よくできてるなと思いますけど。
なんかでも1体。
どれだろうな。一番よくできてた、やっぱりよくできたというか、一番時間食ったっていう意味で言うならば、ドクター・ストレンジすごい時間食ってます。ので、そういう意味で。
We're making 12 new characters, and they're all turned out really well, or they're turning out very well. But I have to say, Doctor Strange has a special place in it for me because, he's one of those problem child who does well at the end. So I like him the best at the moment.
We've seen a couple of the new stages here in this build, but can you tell us a little bit more about the new stages?
ステージなんか結構新しいのポッと見えるんですけど、ちょっとステージについて教えてください。
そうですね。ステージは既存のMVC3 の時のステージをうまくアレンジしたような形のものが、全部で8個入ってます。それで全部で今回は20ステージになっています。
Okay, so we're
でも
adding.
結構よく、できてると思います。
So we're adding 8 more stages, mainly based on the existing stages, but arranged, and actually some of them look totally different, other than the fact it's the same location.
Right.
So in total, there will be 20 stages in total at the in the final product version.
Someone asked, will we be able to change the time limit on online matches?
オンラインマッチの時間制限を変えることができるようになるんですか?
They were asking specifically for infinite mode too.
無限モード、今99が最大なので無限モードを入れてもらえるってことはないんですか？
おそらく入ってね、無限にしちゃうと相手がこう例えば寝落ち、ね、英語で寝落ちっていうか、相手がこう落ちちゃった場合延々とそこで止まっちゃうんで時間制限してないとそういうことが起きるから。無限っていうのは多分ないかな。
The issue with infinite timing is that, say if you're playing with friends or someone, and if someone just falls asleep in front of the console, you can't do anything. You know, you have to disconnect, and it kind of kills the point. So I think online, I don't think it's a too good idea to put an infinite time limit in online matching.
I had a question, and now I forgot it. Someone was asking a little bit about the inspiration behind choosing the various characters that went into the game, and I don't know if you can talk about what helped inspire picking the characters that we have. I know we can't talk about obviously any of the ones that we haven't talked or announced yet, but what's the processing going? I mean, do we take a lot of fan feedback? Is it a lot of characters that you would like to see too? The team decides.
12人の選択に関しては、どういう意思が働いて選ばれてるんですか？
マーベルキャラクターに関してはほぼマーベルさんの要望の部分が大きいです。で、カプコンの方はいろいろなユーザーの意見とかを取り入れた方が大きい。マーベルとカプコンでそういうキャラクターのチョイスの中で線が引かれてる感じ。
So we've actually separated the decision making with Capcom and Marvel. So obviously for Marvel, we've basically taken in what they wanted.
Right.
So we don't know where they got their ideas from. Perhaps from their community fan or their decision, whatever. For Capcom, it's mainly been our community and our fans.
Awesome. It's good to hear. So, a few people are asking about online in general. What kind of improvements have been made for Ultimate Marvel?
例えばネットコードとか基本的な改良点とかありますか？
マッチングだったりとか、あとはそのユーザビリティのところでちょっと前作ユーザーさんからここちょっと変えてなんか変わんないかみたいなところに関してはいろいろちょっといじってはいます。
I mean, this is somewhere we've actually decided to look quite extensively because it involves user experience, and this is basically where people spend most of their time in. So we're looking through the netcodes and we're looking through matching systems and the time efficiency of all that processes. So we're going to give it a good overhaul, actually.
So that sounds good.
Yeah.
So
can't get any better, really. So
another question that had popped up was actually about the existing characters already.
Yeah.
Are they going to get any new colors?
いろんなキャラの色は追加されるんですか？
色追加されます。そうそう、色をね今回追加されるんで。
何色ぐらい？
全部で6色。
6色追加ですか？
違う6色追加じゃない。全部で6色。
前は何色あったんですか？4色。Yeah, so I mean in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, all the characters had 4 different colors. We're going to add 2 more to every single existing character, making it 6 each in total. So it's good work.
特にマーベルキャラクターの方はマーベルコミックの原作の時にこういう時が出てきた、こういう時があったって、そういうなんかいろんなところから引っ張ってきてるんで、もしマーベルキャラクターの詳しい人がいたらばすごいそういうのも凝って作ってるんで、そういうところも実は見てほしいところの一つで。
And color changes for Marvel obviously is a bit more interesting thing. So what we've done is not just change the colors, but we've pulled out the variations from various parts in comics.
Yeah.
So there are some characters who only ever shown that costume once or twice in the past.
Right.
And then we would extract that as one of the 6.
So that's actually a part of the.
Yeah. So
the
it's not just
character's
changing
history.
the color palettes. We've
Yeah.
actually taken different design.
So, speaking of characters in general, then, the question got raised if all the characters will be unlocked right at the start, like they were in Super.
UMBC ではゲームスタートした時にキャラみんなもうアンロックされてるんですか？それともまたアンロックプロセスを通さないといけない？
いやもう全部出てます。
最初から。Yeah. So for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you buy the game, you switch it on, and you have access to all the characters that's meant to be there. No more unlocking.
Sounds good for me, anyway. All right. So let's see. Some of these are going by pretty fast. Hang on. This one's pretty technical. Is it possible to get past air tagging without the use of X Factor?
Air what?
Is it possible to get past air tagging without the use of X Factor?
X Factor 使わずに空中コンボから抜ける方法ってあるんですか？
抜ける方法。
Is that air launch or?
I'm not sure. And the question has already scrolled by. Hang on. I'm trying to find good questions here that we haven't already asked. Oh, here we go. This one's a little bit interesting. Where did the idea of X Factor come from? Like, what was the inspiration behind creating that?
のアイデア自体はどこから来たものなんですか？いやさっきのもいいんですよ。
ちょっとアイディア。いやうちのチーム開発チームの方のバトルプランナーだったりとかディレクターだったりが考えた感じです。
Well, it was just one of the interesting kind of methods of making an exciting comeback. Just a way for someone to make a good comeback. And we've been thinking about what we could do, and then one of our creative teams decided that this actually would be a cool system to implement. We tried it on, and it was spot on. So, good ideas go far.
One of the questions that keeps popping up here is, will Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 let you know when you get a perfect?
UMBC でパーフェクトマッチだったらちゃんとパーフェクトが出るんですよ。
それね、実はね、初めは実は作ってなくってアメリカのイボに行った時にすごいユーザーからそれ作ってないのとかいう意見がすごいあったんで、
作るんですか？
すごい作る予定。
Okay. You know what? We actually didn't plan to do it at all, but when I went to Evo, a lot of people asked me to have that perfect, display, and I kind of realized how important it is for some people. So we're planning on doing it now.
すごい急に言ったんでチームからはすごい怒られたんで。
But my team didn't like me for it because it was all sudden and we never thought of even doing it before. So they were grumbling, but we're going to try and do it.
That sounds pretty cool. We're getting it now. Revealed on stream. Let's see. So, let's see. Someone's talking a little bit about the character changes for the older characters, the existing characters, and the training mode. So, are all those moves being taken into consideration? They want to make sure that it doesn't ruin the trading that was already put in.
既存のキャラのトレーニングモードとかはバランスとかチューニングによってなんか変わったりするんですか？
トレーニングモードはチューニングによって変わるっていう。
キャラの動きとかコンボができなくなったりするじゃないですか。チューニングとかすると。
いやそのためにそのミッションモードのお題とかは若干
内容変わるんですか？じゃあトレーニングモードもじゃあちょっと変わったり。
だから変わったことによってやれなくなったこととか、そんなにいっぱいはないけど、一応そこの調整はしてます。
Okay, I mean, there are going to be some few things that some existing characters can no longer do or can do additionally. So those things would actually obviously have to change in the training mode and mission mode. So there will be some changes.
Someone asked, will there be an online training mode?
Online
training mode.
オンラインの要はトーナメントも入れるんですか？
モードは今回入る予定はない。
No, we don't plan to do that at the moment.
Someone said they love shadow battles. Is there going to be something similar in Ultimate?
シャドウバトル好きだったんですけど UMBC にもちゃんとついてるんですか？
シャドウバトルダウンロードの
Is that the downloadable ones?
Yeah.
So shadow.
ごめん何も引かないって言うんだけど今回それはないわ。
Okay, sorry, I lied. I did say I'm not going to subtract anything from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Shadow Battle is not going to be in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. But that's the only thing.
Let's see. Another question about the character theme songs on the Marvel homepage again.
For Capcom.
The theme songs for the characters, they want them on the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 homepage, like we did for the first game.
マーベルのホームペにテーマソングかけてほしいです。またウェブサイトに音楽かけたんですね。マブカップのテーマソングキャラクターの
マーブルのホームページ。
いやマブカップ3の
マーブルのホームページね。
で今回 UMBC でも同じことしてほしいって言って
ホームページに曲を載せてほしい。今のところじゃあ予定はないけどちょっとじゃあ考えます。
We weren't thinking of doing it again actually, but you know, if people want it, why not?
There you go. Ask and you shall receive. Will there be any new full cinematic cutscenes for the game?
新しいトレーラー CG トレーラー作りますか？
トレーラー作る予定。
Yeah, we're going to make new trailers, of course.
来月ぐらいに発表するかな。
We might announce one next month. Hint, hint. It's probably
Yeah, if there's any, is there any other like final points that you'd want to bring up about what we're showing here?
コメントどうぞ。
残り、とりあえず新キャラクターが、6体発表したんで、あと6体、今後いろいろ発表していくんで、毎月、何体かずつは発表していくんで、その発表とかは楽しみにしててください。それ以外にもいろいろ何かしら発表していければなと思いますので、ぜひ期待してください。来月ちょっと面白い大きな発表とかもあると思うので期待してください。
So we've got 6 more characters to reveal. So we hope to reveal, you know, a few every month. So that would be good. And especially next month, actually, we've got the trailer coming up, and we will actually be revealing a bit more, actually quite a lot more about the game. So got to look out for it, really.
Exciting.
Yeah.
So when's the game coming out?
いつ出るんですかこれ
？11月、アメリカ、一応発売日はもう告知して11月の、日本11月17だからその週に、アメリカもヨーロッパも出ます。
Okay, so it's going to be a global release in mid-November.
Sounds good. How much?
いくら？
値段言ってんだっけな。日本が4990円でアメリカヨーロッパなんだアメリカのアメリカ39.99 ユーロ39.99ドル
ユーロとかで一緒なんですか？It should be $39.99
Yep.
and euros. Yeah.
Sounds great. So is there anything else you want to add?
なんか他に追加メッセージですね。
いや最後に言っちゃったさっきのやつ最後に言っちゃったあれだ。
じゃあバイバイで言ったんですか。
またいろいろなんか喋っていければと思うんで期待してください。
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to, you know, ooze and leak a bit more information in the coming month. So, see you soon.
All right. So be prepared for what's coming up then. Thank you guys for swinging by. Thank you, Nisuma-san, for talking about the game, and Mao for translating, and then our two mysterious players crammed in the room playing with us.
Yeah, it's just like 6 people in this tiny room.
All right, guys. Thanks again, and well, we hope to hear more from you in just a couple months, or next month, I mean. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to Day 2 of GameSpot's live coverage of Comic-Con 2011. I'm your host, Chris Waters, here perched in the Hard Rock Hotel, joined by Seth Killian to show off one of the most talked about, most buzzed about games here at Comic-Con. That's Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Seth, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Dude, big news, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This is a huge one for fighting fans, huge one for people at Comic-Con. How's it been so far getting it out there?
It's been exciting, a little more exciting even than we anticipated, but the reaction just from seeing fans on the floor, everybody come by to play it, has been totally incredible.
Excellent. Now we've got a couple people playing it back in the studio here. Do you want to give those guys a shout out as they battle it?
I'm shouting out to Wes and Matt from Capcom. They're holding it down with 4 of our new characters. We're talking about Firebrand from the Ghosts and Goblins series, one of my personal favorites. And he's joined by Strider, one of our most requested characters by fans, one of my personal favorites. And then on the Marvel side, we've got Ghost Rider, who's incredible, and Hawkeye. Ghost Rider, as you mentioned, what's going on with him?
Yeah, we've got so we're on this hotel. You can't really see it here, but on the outside, boom, Ghost Rider, big thing on the side there. The Awakening, perhaps. I don't know. The dude is coming back in a big way.
He's blowing up.
Here he is in Ultimate MVC 3. Now, 4 new characters we're showing off today. Like, give fans an idea. How are these guys playing a little different? What kind of stuff are they each bringing to the table?
Well, actually, Firebrand is probably the most unique of the characters. So he actually, again, one of the design challenges on Marvel, which is part of my favorite thing, is to actually try and represent the game that the characters came from. So Firebrand in Ghosts and Goblins was the annoying little red devil that would swoop down at you from like very difficult angles. So he's all about swooping down at you from annoying angles, and it really works, as well as, of course, predictable fireballs. Ghost Rider, obviously, with the giant chain, is controlling the whole screen. He's sort of like a fast Dalsim kind of character.
He busted out the motorcycle a minute ago.
Yeah, when he knocks you down and run you right over on the flaming motorcycle from hell. That's brilliant. Hawkeye, I think we're up to about 16 different arrow types right now, and we got a little ways to go with development yet. So we'll see what the final number of different trick arrows that Hawkeye brings to the table. And then Strider, we tried to keep pretty representative of his Marvel vs. Capcom 2 incarnation, which was very, very popular character in that game. So he's got some of the signature moves. The Ouroboros, where he summons all the orbs around and just rushes you down. He's pretty incredible as well. He's the first character in this game's history to have 2 level 3 hyper combos, which are, pretty awesome to watch.
Oh my. All right, so at Capcom, as the special combat advisor, you're trying to bring these guys into the game. You're trying to make them fit with all the existing characters. But Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it's going to be a new retail product.
It is.
And are you making any changes to the sort of bedrock fighting engine from Marvel vs. Capcom 3 that you want to talk about?
Yeah, there are a few. Some of them are sort of inside baseball, kind of smaller, nerdy things, but that's my business, and I love it. So actually, every character in the game is getting looked at from a New Balance perspective. So some of them, like we've seen Ryu and some of that, people talking about that, have completely brand new moves. Whether it be new special moves, new hyper moves. Other characters will receive more subtle tweaks just to try and balance them out. But it's going to be a variety for the entire cast, both the returning cast and the new characters. X Factor, which is one of the defining mechanics of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, lets you power up and do all sorts of stuff, can now be activated in the air. And the wall and ground bounce system for team aerial combos has been adjusted a little bit as well. You can now either try and build up your own super meter, take your opponent's super meter away, or just go for some more damage. And it's sort of a little 1 out of 3 guessing game. Very cool.
Okay, so now the upshot of all these changes, are you guys trying to, what's the idea for the ultimate version of this game? You're trying to spice it up a little bit. You're trying to just make it all that much better.
We really just wanted to round out the entire package we had these additional characters that we wanted to do, and just really take a look at how the balance worked out for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and see where we wanted to go in terms of that direction. So I think it's really about bringing all the characters on board and then having that kind of complete balance that we're really proud of at Capcom. It keeps things exciting. So
This, as a package, also includes some new online features like a spectator mode. That's something people really asked for after the initial release. And this is something we really want to do to watch the games together and get intel on the guy I'm about to play. It's just really fun, and it's a nice community feature that keeps the fighting fun.
Very cool, and allows people to, you know, hone their skills, maybe pick up a few new tricks.
Indeed.
And now, are we on a new stage here as well for the new game?
There will be a bunch of new stages. Variously.
I'm seeing some Firebrand Juniors in the background.
Yes, this is indeed his home stage. So some of the stages got slight little tweaks in the background, others have been completely redone to the point of being a new stage. You'll see new cameos from both Capcom and Marvel characters, and there's all sorts of little touches that we'll talk about going forward. Things about, like, just in the Days of Future Past stage, you'll see characters from like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 that didn't actually make it into Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and just alongside the mutants that had been killed, they put the posters up about killed mutants. We have characters from the Marvel and Capcom side that are both not here present in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Little nerdy stuff that the guys at Marvel and the guys at Capcom got together on and just had a really good time with. It's all throughout the game.
Excellent. I mean, when you're drawing on the Marvel fan base, the Capcom fan base, and the Marvel versus Capcom, I mean, that's a huge array of fans to contend with. Now, you guys have talked about sort of listening to the community and adding the spectator mode that was very clamored for, and Strider, a character that people really wanted. How has it been in the development process to sort of, you know, adapt and try to integrate some suggestions from your fervent fan base?
Well, we always listen, and then it's a question of what you can actually pull off, and then there's sort of larger forces at play as well. So of course we've got, on the Marvel side, Marvel has a big stake in who the characters are going to be in the game.
Sure.
And we're talking about Hawkeye, and you see some Avengers, and you see some Avengers movie discussion and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of crossover there, and Marvel has their own ideas. On the Capcom side, looking directly at that kind of fan feedback is very important. It's not to the point where it's marching orders, so you're never going to be able to do everything the fans ask for.
Sure.
We try and do as much of them as we can and make that balance out with actually getting the game out and all the other different kind of concerns we have to balance. Yeah, and so and you know, with again so many great characters to choose from, inevitably you're going to be disappointing people. No matter how many great characters you put in, somebody's going to have a frowny face. So I feel their pain. There's, you know, of course I got some of my favorites in here. There are others I wanted to see that didn't make the cut, but overall, I mean, the thing I remember most about Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was once the game had gelled and I really started to play, it ended up being that some of my favorite characters weren't the characters I was most excited about as characters, but just actually playing them, I was like, wow, I'm really bonding with this guy. Even though as a character, I'm like, eh. So I think that's what's also interesting and fun about the game, and I hope people will give the new characters a chance, even if they're not the ones they might have chosen for themselves.
Gives folks a way to discover a new way into the game,
exactly,
a new character.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Folks who don't hear that their characters are going to be in the game yet can still hold out some hope, right? I mean, we've seen the character select screen here a couple times. There's some unknown blocks. You guys are, how many total new characters are you aiming for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
Well, we're aiming for 12, and there are indeed some unknown blocks, but after some news came out yesterday, I don't know if we have too many unknowns left in the unknown block. So, we may be, you know, who knows what could be possible in the future, but as of right now.
If that cryptic phrase is a little too cryptic for you, check out news.gamespot.com. We've got the rumor mill covered, and you can take a look at what people are talking about it.
Yeah, we had all of our characters leaked out yesterday. We can own it, so
own it, yeah, claim it.
All 12 of them are out there. They're real and they're gorgeous, and yeah, no, they're a lot of fun. So hopefully people will be enjoying those soon enough at some future shows. But right now we've got 4 playable on the show floor, and the reaction's been amazing.
So yeah, people at Comic-Con can actually come line up and play this game. You guys are in the hall?
Yeah, we're in the hall. It's just right out there, and people actually saw it and were like, wait, this is Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3? And then they were like, bah! You know, so literally there was a guy who like saw it and then he started to play, saw it, and then turned around and ran out, and then came back with like 8 of his friends because he somehow didn't realize that we had it on the floor. So he thought he was just coming by to play some regular old Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then was like, what's this new book? So that was pretty fun to see, but hopefully the word is out. Now the word is certainly out. And,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's just the first full day of Comic-Con. Preview night was last night. Have you gotten any Marvel vs. Capcom cosplayers come on by your booth yet?
I don't know if I can call them Marvel versus Capcom cosplayers, but a lot of Capcom cosplayers, a lot of Marvel cosplayers. Okay. So I'll make them hug, and then we've got a Marvel versus Capcom cosplayer.
And then you got them in there, boom, there you go.
Maybe we could put them in like
a face off,
there you go.
Make a pose or something like that.
They're amazing. So we're having some cosplay contests by the booth, both for Street Fighter and for Resident Evil. Obviously, there's Street Fighter and Resident Evil characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, so we'll grab some Marvel guys and maybe do a pose down.
All right, very cool. Now, we're queuing up another match here. Now, is there something in the fighting system that you've talked about a lot of changes. This is something you're very intimately involved in. Is there something that like really kind of lights your fire, like one particular? Give us one, like delve deep into the nerdy minutia realm before we wrap it up here.
Well, so there, in the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3, there were two characters that were considered two of the most dominant in the game. One being Phoenix, in part because she could turn into this Dark Phoenix version of herself, which is pretty overpowering and unbelievable. We wanted to keep her ability to turn into Dark Phoenix and keep her sort of over-the-top powers, but we were able to make a very slight adjustment so she can do just a little less with her fireballs in the air. And this sounds nerdy, but she's not as able to follow them up quickly with the teleport. She had a lot of very tricky mix-ups that made her one of the most dominating characters in the game. We think she's still a lot of fun and actually still a strong character, but you're not going to be sort of, you get opened up like a can of, it's not someone opening a can on you, it's, you just felt like, what just happened?
I just got dismantled and
you don't even know why, you're just like, So I think we're going to tone that down a little bit while keeping the flavor of the character. Pretty proud of that, and of course the new guys are just brilliant. So everything the team's been come up with ideas for Hawkeye's arrows, pulling in, he's got Ant-Man riding on the tip of one of his arrows for his level 3 super, and then he turns giant at the end and stomps you. And so it's just a mix of nerdy little details on the hit frames and just raw fun as far as, stupid ideas for the characters like that and seeing them become a reality.
Fantastic. And Comic-Con is such a great place to be showing it off.
Oh, this is the best place in the world for this game, and really happy to see the reaction so far.
Wonderful. Now, for folks who aren't here at Comic-Con, who aren't going to be able to get in and get their hands on the game, give them a tidbit. When are they going to be able to play it? When are they going to see it? When are they going to be able to buy it?
Well, the game's coming out in November, so you're not going to have to wait too long, but we are going to have this out on the road with us as much and as often as we can. So we're going to be at the EVO World Final Fighting Championships next week.
Okay.
Might be a good place to find some Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, as well as some other great fighting games. That's going to be incredible. But we're going to be, basically, if you expect to see Capcom at a show, expect to see this game, and maybe with some new characters as well. We're going to keep it out there because we're proud of what we're doing, and we want to see everyone's reaction, put it in their hands, let them do it.
Yeah, see how it goes. That's great, Seth, and what a pleasure for you to be here. Kicking off our show here live at Comic-Con. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 coming out in November, and you folks can look forward to more coverage on that on GameSpot.com. Seth, thank you so much for coming by, showing it off.
My pleasure.
Good luck, enjoy the con. Hopefully you get some epic cosplayer battles going on at the old booth there. All right, folks, now we are going to head out to the show floor ourselves, where Homer Rabara has been touring the booths, bringing you just the flavor of the show floor because it's unlike any place you've ever been. First stop, Square Enix. We're going to see what they've got on offer.
How's it going, everybody? This is Maxwell McGee here at the San Diego Comic-Con. We're checking out Capcom's booth, where I'm talking with Capcom Special Advisor Seth Killian. Seth, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to see you.
So we're checking out Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. A lot of fans at home excited about this. What are you guys officially showing off here today?
Well, let's say this. Who do we have playable here today? How about that? Well, of course, we've got the entire returning cast, but we've also got 4 new characters playable here today. On the Marvel side, we've got Hawkeye, Ghost Rider, one of my personal favorites. Firebrand from the Ghosts and Goblins series, sort of one of the guys who plagued Arthur on his quest. Probably the most annoying enemy in the whole game, and he's quite annoying here as well. And then, of course, Strider Hiryu, one of the most popular characters, one of our biggest fan requests. He's back as well. Very much in tune with his Marvel vs. Capcom 2 incarnation.
All right, very nice. So obviously, in addition to the characters that you're showing off here today, there's also been a few leaked images of some other characters. Can you comment at all about that?
To quote Seinfeld, that maybe people don't remember, they are real and they are gorgeous. We're not prepared to talk at length about those guys right now, but they're out there and pretty proud of the characters, so hoping we can let people get hands-on with those in the coming time. But right now, this is what we got to show you, and we'll go from there.
All right, fair enough. So what we can talk about is changes to X Factors. I understand it's going to be tweaked. It's going to be just a little bit different this incarnation. What can you tell us about that?
So overall, the damage on X Factor is going down a little bit, and it's also been sort of normalized across the board for all characters, so it's not going to be that somebody's getting a particularly large boost versus other characters. But the big thing is that you can now activate X Factor in the air. That's kind of nerdy for people that don't follow Marvel vs. Capcom 3 closely or didn't play the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3. But it really makes a big difference. It not only lets your air combos become really a lot crazier, it also allows you defensively to escape some situations that came up in the original one that were really nasty. Now you can X Factor your way out of those if you need to.
I also noticed in the release trailer you guys were showing off certain characters such as Ryu and his Super Hadouken. I saw it bouncing off the wall. Spencer seemed to have a new dive attack. Are all the previous roster members going to be getting little tweaks and changes in this release?
So short answer is nobody is immune from the world of changes. So in this build, there are many characters that do have those kinds of changes. We're letting people figure those out on their own right now. Some characters, as you saw, will have brand new moves, even new super moves and things like that. Other characters will get more subtle tweaks. And that's the way it is right now. Again, the game's still in development, so it may change over time. Things may shift. But we're probably not going to take new moves away that we made, especially the moves you've seen already, I don't think are going to go anywhere. But all the details may be changing a little bit, but right now everybody's going to be a little subtly different on up to larger changes like you saw with Ryu and the Bionic Commando here today.
Now, what can you tell us about any tweaks you guys have planned for single player? Any new additions for the training mode? Anything you're expanding on with the campaign? Anything like that?
Well, we'll see where we get to in terms of development, but you got to let us hold back a little something. It's been a big day in terms of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 news already, so we'll see where we're going with that in a few months.
All right, now back with the characters, on the topic of character selection, I remember back when Capcom Unity had a poll to let fans decide which characters they'd like to see possibly in a Versus game, and I noticed some of the top Marvel contenders weren't really represented in what we've seen for this edition. Can you comment at all about that?
Well, sure. I mean, there's a few points. One, although we looked at that poll very closely and it had a lot of votes and activity, so we respected the results, but that wasn't actually an official Capcom poll. It was on Capcom Unity, but just put up there by a fan. That doesn't mean it doesn't count, but in the past what we've done before is to have a poll where we say, hey, if you guys tell us which character you want from this list, we'll actually put them in the game. We did that with Street Fighter 4, and we got an actual response, and we followed through with it, and that character was Cammy. We did that. She's been with us ever since. This was a more informal fan poll. On the Capcom side, we looked at that very closely and tried to respect a lot of those wishes. But Marvel is its own company, and they have ultimately control over the Marvel characters. So it's something we talked over with them. But they have reasons to be in love with certain characters at certain times. They're blowing up in the comics or the movies or whatever it might be. And at the end of the day, even if it's not the character that you were particularly hoping for, we hope people will give the character a chance and actually play them, because that's where the fun is. And the characters that I ended up playing most in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and having the most fun with weren't the characters that I was excited about necessarily as characters, but they just turned out to be a lot of fun. And so I think people may have that same experience.
So there might be a few characters in there that'll surprise you.
After today, maybe not. But yeah, I think as far as playstyle and getting fun stuff to do, there's a lot of surprises in store, even for the characters on the Marvel side that people are less familiar with, or like, what's this guy gonna do? Just wait, they do some amazing stuff.
Now, is there any sort of a bonus or an extra incentive for people who own the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3 going into Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
Good question. We'll see where we end up there. It's something on our minds right now, but again, we're still quite a ways away from the release of this game, so we'll have to get there.
And on the topic of release, Seth, is there anything you can tell us about when this game might be coming out?
Pretty soon. Not super soon. I don't actually know what the release date might be yet, but we're going to try and get it into people's hands as soon as we possibly can.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. So there you have it, folks. A look at Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. As always, stay tuned for more information.
Hi everybody, Alex here with a man who I consider to be our brother, an honorary member of Mad Gats. We love him so much. He's your friend of mine. It's Mr. the one and only Seth Killian from Capcom. Looks like Comic-Con has started in earnest. The crowd's already building here, Seth.
Yeah, they just started running in. We saw a few people running to get over here to the booth, which we like to see. So, they got in first, and we got a lot of things for fighting fans, non-fighting fans, you name it.
Well, let's start with the fighting fans. I got to tell you that the whole world seems to be talking about Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which broke this morning. So tell us a little bit about the game. What can fans expect from the new iteration of MVC3?
It's pretty hot, actually. So, of course, we were supposed to have 4 new characters today. We had a few surprises along the way. But playable here on the show floor, we've got Hawkeye, we've got Ghost Rider, we've got Strider Hiryu, and Firebrand from the... Well, I call it a couple different things, but Ghosts and Goblins, I think most people will know it from. They're all super fun. You can get your hands on right away. But we've been tweaking X Factor a little bit, so I think a lot of people have been clamoring for that. There's been a bunch of individual changes to the characters that I'm going to let people discover. And we're also announcing spectator mode online, which I think is going to be really good for the community, and a lot of people have been really asking for. So pretty proud.
I personally think a lot of people have been surprised at just how deep MVC3 is. I mean, I think even the critics have admitted that it's a very deep gameplay experience. Have you been pleased or surprised at how the critics have reacted to the game? Because it's been a phenomenal hit for you guys.
Yeah, I know. There was a lot of interest initially, and then people started, rumors catch fire on the internet. Oh, it's too simple, it's silly, whatever. And then it sort of boomerang the other way. And actually, I was having this discussion with some people, good friends the other day, who were saying, I actually quit playing competitively, but now I've come back, and actually, the numbers in terms of all the fan-run tournaments around the world, they've been way up for MVC3. It's been the number 1 or 2 game everywhere, and doing really strong. So that speaks for itself. And if people are having a good time with it, then we've done our job, and I think it's going to be even better next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Strider, Ghost Rider. How can you not buy Ultimate MVC3? When's it coming out, Seth?
Soon.
Soon it's coming out, but whenever it comes out, you need to play it with the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Tournament Edition Fight Stick from Mad Gats. Seth, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Nice to see you again, Alex.
We had some big day for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Recap what happened, what we announced today.
Jeez, all right, I should have brought crib notes of some kind. So yesterday we had Phoenix Wright and, of course, Nova.
Human Rocket.
There he goes. We announced those characters for the game and showed them off. They were fantastic. So we're almost to our complete roster, but then today the big news was a new mode called Heroes and Heralds mode, where you can choose to sort of fight with Galactus to try and defend the Earth or against. But apart from the story elements, you can actually pick all these crazy character cards that give you different abilities. So from smaller stuff to like double jump to things like turning invisible to being able to parry to be able to do whatever you want. So it's completely nuts. It's mental. You can stack up the cards 3 at a time. It's a completely free download that's going to be coming a little post-launch. So can't argue with free. It's mental. Other things include you can also play as Galactus.
Boom! Crazy!
Yeah, that's insane also. It's just a little fun throwaway that we're gonna, I think it's gonna be awesome. People can battle against the heroes, and we revealed that at the Marvel Games panel with Mr. Chris Baker, and that was fantastic. And it's been a roller coaster ride of one to the next.
Now, we need a little clarification because we had Javon Frazier on earlier. The monster that he is was a little confused about the finer points about how you play as Galactus. When you're Galactus, you're not loaded up with Galactus and Sentinel, and you are like he was talking about. My team is like maybe Hulk and Sentinel and Galactus, and I'm like, that's not fair. Why would you do that?
Yeah, we talked about how we were going to put him in the game and whether you could use him as an assist, and I felt like that would be kind of my assist is Galactus. He eats your planet, and you're done. No, so basically, if you played Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the original, and you fought against Galactus as the boss, it's basically your chance to flip the script, and you'll be now fighting against teams of heroes that the computer will send at you as Galactus, doing all of his ridiculous magic fingers and the pound that just completely kills you with one shot. The heroes can get around that, and they get progressively harder as you go through. But it's just a little bit of fun that we wanted to let people have a chance to play as the big man in a fair way.
I'm psyched for it. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess you guys were giving this out this weekend?
Yeah, we've been giving those out. That's, of course, your beautiful Marvel art. That's also going to be part of our box art. So we've got what's reversible box art. So we've got our Japanese artist, Shinkiro, and I believe this is Mark Brooks.
Mark Brooks.
None other.
And so you can choose which side you want to have as your box cover on the game. So that's very cool. A nice little touch to the Marvel and the Capcom history. See a little taste of Rocket Raccoon, one of our last remaining characters. He's done by Frank West.
I am so psyched for Rocket Raccoon in this game.
Dude,
how did Rocket Raccoon get in the game? Because it's not like, oh yeah, okay, we got Hulk, we got Spider-Man. Yeah, Rocket Raccoon, let's go.
Well, I think you guys had some ideas about Rocket Raccoon for sure, and we also just thought, in terms of all the crazy weapons that he's always using, and in terms of his different techniques, and also he's an unusual character size. We just thought we knew with all of his crazy moves and crazy weapons, we could have a good time with him, and we really did. So he's one of the, he's got some of the most unique elements of the game. This weekend is all about Nova and Phoenix Wright, but yeah, Rocket Raccoon, definitely one of my favorites. We haven't, it's last but definitely not least.
We actually have a question in from Random Nerd Chris, who's been watching the live feed all weekend long, and is asking specifically about Rocket Raccoon, when we're going to get more information. Well, the game comes out November 15th.
November 15th.
So we've got about a month to go. Somewhere within the next month, you'll have all the information you would require about Rocket Raccoon and Frank West.
That is true.
So, boom. Good.
Won't be too long.
Yeah. Sorry, people are asking me about my Hello Kitty notebook that I've been writing questions in. Yeah, it's a real thing.
It's delightful.
It is. What have you been doing this convention? Are you stuck at? Shouldn't say stuck.
Yes, it is a pit of humanity.
You guys can't see it over there, but just like the Marvel booth, it's just a ring of people around the Capcom booth.
As you pointed out, we're right by the exit, so we're clogging the whole place out.
Kind of a jerk move.
If you can't get to the bathroom, yeah, I know, our games are too fun.
They are.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic. So let's think. Yesterday we did a Street Fighter Cross Tekken panel. We did a Stunt today. Then onto the Marvel Games panel. Then onto an Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The game got its own panel. That was in, I believe, one of the biggest rooms here. It was packed to capacity, standing room only, all the way around the sides and the back.
That's awesome.
Incredible reception from those guys. Over at the booth, we've been running tournaments, doing some live stream, trying to walk people through some of the characters, because Phoenix Wright is very weird. It's hard to play as a lawyer who collects evidence in a fighting game, but we did it. So I've been walking people through that one a little bit, as well as showing off Nova and some of the ways he sort of utilizes some of his sort of unique powers, the Nova Force, and trying to implement some of that and show off how that works in the game as well. So it's just been one thing after another. I think I've signed more autographs this week than in the rest of my life combined. So the New York crowd has been super awesome to all of us.
Dude, you're a superstar.
Yeah.
It's great when you joined Twitter like a month ago or so, and like boom, thousands of followers. It's great.
I love these guys. So that's where I came from as well. So I was just a Street Fighter player like anybody else. Love the Marvel, love the Street Fighter, Capcom fighting nerd, and now I'm on the inside and trying to do our best for everybody out there.
I've been telling some of the people we've been walking around with, like, oh yeah, we're gonna have Seth Killian on. He was basically a good Street Fighter 2 player, and now he does all kinds of awesome stuff, which is an abridged version of your history, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, but it's been, I don't know, it's just been an amazing turnout. And just seeing all these people, we're a big believer in live events and just coming out and having, that direct sort of face-to-face with fans and letting them, above it all, play our games.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been all about here, and Ultimate Marvel was the star of the show. We actually got a little bit rained out. Javits had a little bit of water coming through the ceiling. What? Javits Center. And actually fried one of our dev kits. So Marvel was down at the beginning of yesterday, and we had just the crowd, and then we made the announcement. I've never seen so many sad faces. Like, they're just like, what? I was like, don't worry, we're going to dry it out. We're going to bring it back and, give us an hour. Yeah. So we got it all dried out, and wasn't expecting a rain delay on Marvel vs. Capcom, but yeah, we pulled it off. So
the fan, Random Nerd Chris, wants to ask a question about Groot and if he'll be involved in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and we don't want to reveal too much about Rocket Raccoon, whether or not that's going to happen. So just do the little tantalizing idea that maybe you'll find out a little bit more, or you have to find out a little bit more in the next month or so.
It's true. And then again, with the Heroes and Heralds mode, we've got new art for a ton of characters, both from the Capcom and Marvel universes. So one of the characters I was interested in seeing in the main game, the Multiple Man, who of course was not cool enough to be in the main game. Sorry, Multiple Man. But he did make it in the Heroes and Heralds mode, so a lot of old favorites on the Capcom side as well. People ask us about Power Stone, some of those kinds of games that aren't
I love Power Stone.
I know, but dude, that was...
Seriously.
Power Stone 2,
I would punch you, it's so good.
Yeah.
I love you.
You could do that. That's a fair response.
I would never punch you.
That's a fair response. Other people will. Somebody here will take it.
No, I will fight for you.
It'll happen.
kind of teeing off of that, we have Brian M. Holtz, who's been watching and asking us some questions the whole feed. Today characters who ended up on the cutting room floor, were you bummed out about them that maybe we can see them now?
So basically when characters end up on the cutting room floor, they usually don't get too far down the road. So we had some concepts for guys like Silver Surfer, but it was really just sort of concepts as like, this is how it could work. It's not like we have full characters that are finished and we can just sort of turn them loose, because that takes a huge amount of work and effort. So we don't really have anything like that. But yeah, we'll talk to you someday about some of the other characters we wanted to have in there. Silver Surfer, was he on the board? Was he off the board? But what was going to happen?
Sure.
Yeah, it's not really, is he hit you with the board? He didn't really hit people with the board. You know, it's like, it doesn't really work with the rest of the characters. Great character, but he didn't make the cut for us this time.
That makes sense. There's one character I remember when early on I was at Marvel Studios and there was a character in the build and it was like, oh, this is going to be great, and then he got cut and I've been bummed about him, and I'll tell you offline. Sorry guys, haha. Mrs. Fooley says she's watching us on the live feed and just says hello, so let's wave, hello. So Sedna51 once says, is there something we'd love to do with a character that we haven't done yet? Someone can answer that. So when in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, are there modifications to the characters? Chris Baker, who is in our games division, has been doing some great blogs for Marvel.com and for like IGN maybe and some other places. GameSpot, sorry.
Spreading the love.
Yeah, they're all around. But he's been blogging about the different costumes. So while there'll be different costumes, will there be anything else changed about the characters?
Yeah, so a bunch of the returning characters are getting so everybody's been rebalanced. So some of the characters get new moves, some of the characters get whole new modes. So like Ryu, the classic from the Street Fighter series, he can power up into this Denjin mode where it's sort of whirlwinds and electricity flying out of everything. He gets a whole new Dragon Punch and Fireball, and the Super Fireball bounces off the wall. So some of those are sort of subtle changes, others are very, very big changes. Both Storm and Magneto now have powers to sort of repel you or pull you in, which is super dirty. So if you're trying to catch up with them and they're sort of pushing you out, it's really easy to sort of control that space. So some of those characters get moves that sort of make them feel more like themselves. I think sort of gives you sort of she has the power of the wind, he's obviously using the magnetism. Nice little touches there. But yeah, that kind of thing. And then some characters get, obviously the new characters have a brand new set of moves, and they've been balanced against all the other characters as well.
So there's a question in from Mario Chepcon 2, and there's a question, I don't honestly know if this is something that we can speak to or not, because I don't know what he's talking about.
No
As Mega Man from the Star Force series considered at any point? I think he fits in with Nova and Rocket Raccoon in his team.
That's an interesting pairing, actually. We don't hear as much about Star Force Mega Man. We've gotten a lot of requests for Mega Man. Particularly, I think Mega Man X is probably the current crowd favorite. Mega Man has appeared in previous Marvel vs. Capcom games. And we've got Zero, who's of the Mega Man universe, although not actually Mega Man. He's his own man. But we do have in one of the new stages we just showed off here at New York Comic Con, we've got sort of a Days of Future Past thing happening with some of the characters that didn't make it into Marvel vs. Capcom 3 up on or didn't make it into Ultimate up on a poster from 2. And some of them have been slain, apprehended, whatever it might be. Mega Man is the one character that has not been slain or apprehended. What does it mean? Maybe nothing, probably nothing. It's just a poster. Don't worry about it.
Or
it's just a poster in the background, guys.
Or it could mean nothing.
Yeah, it could be nothing.
So,
Done,
Yeah, I mean,
just a poster in the background.
You could totally quote him and put it all over the internet as being something.
As long as you just cut it off at the wrong place.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm very familiar with that quoting on the internet.
Yeah, we see it all the time.
It's cut and slice.
Brendan Nerd Chris wants to know, will Heroes and Heralds be multiplayer?
Yes, actually. Fully online. And you can actually join clans. It's kind of interesting. So you can the Heroes and the Heralds, and so every week it'll sort of reset, and it'll decide whether the Heroes or the Heralds won, depending on who won the most matches, which faction you joined up with. So nothing too complicated, nothing too over the top, but you fight for factions and little control of certain areas around the world, and whoever can sort of dominate that section will be the winner for that week, and that'll reset it. But you can also play, you also unlock cards by dominating those sections. So the more you play, the more cards you'll unlock, the more crazy powers you'll have, and the more you can help your faction, whether you be on the side of the Heroes or those, whatever sort of sheen that Galactus puts on his heralds. It's magic pixie dust.
The sweet glaze of cosmic justice.
That's right.
Something like
Injustice. Cosmic injustice.
Yeah,
I don't know. Galactus is, I don't know.
He's sort of
a complicated man.
Yeah.
Never mind, I got a song stuck in my head.
I knew I'd do that.
Before we go, do you have a favorite character from Ultimate, from the new batch?
On the Capcom side, definitely loving Phoenix Wright. On Marvel side, I'm kind of split. I've been playing a lot of Ghost Rider and loving Ghost Rider. I just love it, and also because it's such a crazy crossover game. You know, he does like the penance stare to like the most ridiculous like Capcom, like doing like Beautiful Joe's like, and he's like staring. It's like Beautiful Joe has nothing to regret. Like, come on, like he's just this goofy clown. So that's always funny, and also watching Phoenix Wright, like accuse Dr. Doom of and like convict him in the court case is hilarious. And but for me, I think probably Rocket Raccoon is the guy I'm playing the most. I know he's our last character. We've ended with I'm a mechanics nerd. I like the way the different characters play and how to figure out the different ways the moves interact.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of interesting different little tricks and setups and all sorts of very unique stuff that's very unique to him. And I'm a big nerd for that. So Rocket Raccoon, plus he's just adorable.
So cute.
Yeah, and hard to hit. So I do all right with him. He's good at getting out of the way. Yeah.
You're a jerk. You're so good at the games, and yet you master these little things.
Yeah, it's all about the little things.
Thank you for coming up, going through this whole crazy.
It's been my pleasure. You guys are hard to find, but more than worth it. So awesome. You guys have the beautiful cat's eye view of this whole show, and you're doing good by the people online. So God bless you.
Marvel, your universe.